June 14, 1971, Memphis, Tennessee, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, 2:47 p.m. Elvis Presley stands in a hospital corridor. White walls, fluorescent lights, the smell of antiseptic. Silence. He's been here before, dozens of times, visiting sick children, bringing smiles, taking photos. But today is different. A nurse approaches. Her name tag reads Sarah Mitchell. She's worked here for 11 years. She's seen everything. Her eyes are red. "Mr. Presley," she says quietly. "The boy is in room 304. He asked for you specifically. He's been waiting." Elvis nods. He's done this countless times. Walk in, smile, sign something, take a photo, leave. But Sarah touches his arm. Her voice drops. "This one is different. What he's going to ask you." She stops. Can't finish. Elvis looks at her. "What is it?" Sarah shakes her head. Just be ready." She walks away. Elvis stands alone in the corridor. His hands feel cold, his chest tight. He doesn't know it yet, but in the next 17 minutes, a 7-year-old boy will say something. Something so simple, something so devastating, that even Elvis Presley will have to look away. Here is the story. Room 304, 3rd floor, East Wing. Elvis walks slowly. His footsteps echo. The hallway stretches ahead. Doors on both sides. Most are closed. He reaches 304. The door is half open. Light spills out. Elvis pauses, takes a breath, pushes the door wider. Inside, a small room, one window, pale yellow walls, a single bed, medical equipment, beeping monitors, IV drip, and in the bed, a boy. Michael Anthony Peterson, 7 years old, born March 3, 1964, diagnosed 14 months ago. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Michael is small for his age, maybe 60 pounds, pale skin, no hair, lost to chemotherapy, but his eyes are bright, green, alert. He's awake. He sees Elvis. His face lights up. Not surprise. Recognition. "You came," Michael whispers. Elvis walks to the bed, sits in the chair beside it. The metal legs scrape the floor. "Of course I came," Elvis says. "How you doing, buddy?" Michael smiles. It hurts, but he smiles. "I'm okay. The nurses are nice. My mom was here earlier. She had to work." Elvis nods. He's holding a small teddy bear. Brown, soft. He brought it as a gift. He sets it on the bed. "This is for you," Elvis says. Michael picks it up. His fingers are thin, fragile. "Thank you," Michael says. "I'll call him Elvis. The bear, I mean." Elvis laughs. "Sounds good to me." They sit in silence. The monitors beep steadily, rhythmic, mechanical. Michael looks at Elvis, studies his face. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything," Elvis says. Michael's voice gets quieter. "The nurses said you do things for kids, like wishes. Make wishes come true." Elvis feels something twist in his chest. He knows what's coming, or thinks he does. A car, a guitar, money for his family. That's what they usually ask for. "Yeah, buddy," Elvis says. "I can do that. What do you want?" Michael looks down at the teddy bear. His small hands press it against his chest. When he looks back up, his eyes are wet. "I don't want a toy," Michael says, "or money, or anything like that." Elvis leans forward. "What do you want?" Michael's voice cracks. "I want you to tell me the truth." Elvis freezes. "What truth?" Michael takes a shaky breath. "Am I going to die?" The room goes silent. The monitors keep beeping, but Elvis doesn't hear them. He stares at this 7-year-old boy. This child who weighs 60 pounds, who has no hair, who should be playing baseball, riding bikes, being a kid. Instead, he's here, asking the one question no one will answer honestly. Elvis feels his throat tighten. His hands grip the armrests of the chair. Michael watches him, waiting. "Everyone tells me I'll be fine," Michael says. Mom, Dad, the doctors, the nurses. They smile and say, I'll get better. But I hear them at night, when they think I'm sleeping. I hear my mom crying. I hear my dad telling her it's in God's hands. Michael's voice is steady now, stronger than it should be. I just want someone to tell me the truth. That's all I want, not a lie. Just the truth. Elvis looks away. He stares at the wall, at the pale yellow paint, at the small window with its thin curtains. His eyes burn. Quick thought. Have you ever been asked a question you couldn't bear to answer? Drop a comment. Elvis tries to speak. His voice won't come. He clears his throat. Tries again. Michael, The boy waits. Elvis turns back to him. Their eyes meet. And Elvis realizes something. This child already knows. He's known for months, maybe longer. He doesn't need confirmation. He needs honesty. He needs someone to stop pretending. Elvis's voice comes out rough, raw. Yeah, buddy, you're going to die. Michael doesn't cry. He nods, like he's been waiting for someone, anyone, to finally say it. When? Michael asks. Elvis shakes his head. I don't know. The doctors don't know. Maybe weeks, maybe months. Michael nods again. Okay. That's all he says. Okay. Then he looks at Elvis. Really looks at him. Thank you. Elvis feels something break inside his chest. Not physically, but something deeper. You're welcome, Elvis whispers. They sit together. 5 minutes pass. Michael plays with the teddy bear, adjusts its arms, smooths its fur. Elvis watches. Finally, Michael speaks again. Can I ask one more thing? Anything. Michael's voice is small. Will it hurt? Elvis closes his eyes. He thinks of his mother, Gladys, dead at 46, heart attack, August 14th, 1958, 13 years ago. He thinks of the pain she must have felt, the fear. He opens his eyes. I don't know, Elvis says honestly. I hope not. But I don't know. Michael considers this. He sets the teddy bear down, looks at Elvis. Can you stay for a little bit? Just sit with me? Elvis nods. As long as you want. They sit in silence. The afternoon light shifts, moves across the floor, slow, patient. Michael talks sometimes. Small things. His favorite color, blue. His favorite food, pizza. His dog at home, a beagle named Snoopy. Elvis listens. He doesn't perform, doesn't sing, doesn't tell stories. He just sits and listens. At 4:15 p.m., Michael's mother arrives. Her name is Patricia Peterson, 32 years old, works as a secretary downtown, single mother. Michael's father left 2 years ago. She walks in, sees Elvis, stops. Her hand goes to her mouth. Mr. Presley, she says, I didn't know you were here. Elvis stands, extends his hand. They shake. Patricia's eyes fill with tears. Thank you for coming, she says. Michael talks about you all the time. He has all your records. Elvis glances at Michael. The boy is watching his mother. Ma'am, Elvis says quietly, can I speak with you outside? Patricia nods. They step into the corridor. The door closes behind them. Elvis's voice is low. Your son asked me a question today. A hard question. Patricia's face goes pale. What did he ask? Elvis tells her. Patricia's knees buckle. Elvis catches her arm, helps her to a chair against the wall. She sits, covers her face with her hands. Oh, God, she whispers. Oh, God, I knew he knew. I knew it. She looks up at Elvis. What did you tell him? Elvis meets her eyes. I told him the truth. Patricia doesn't get angry. She doesn't yell. She doesn't cry. She just nods, slowly, like she's been waiting for this too. Thank you, she says. Elvis doesn't understand. For what? For not lying to him. Everyone else does. The doctors, the family, me. Her voice breaks. I couldn't do it. I couldn't tell my baby he's dying. Elvis kneels in front of her. You're his mother. You're allowed to hope. Patricia wipes her eyes. But he needed more than hope. He needed truth. And you gave it to him. She stands, straightens her dress. I should go back in. Elvis nods. Before she opens the door, she turns. Will you come back to see him? Elvis doesn't hesitate. Yes. How often? As often as I can. Patricia smiles, a real smile, through the tears. That would mean everything. She goes back inside. Elvis stands alone in the corridor. He leans against the wall. His chest feels hollow. He thinks about Michael, 7 years old, asking for truth. Not a miracle, not fame, not escape, just honesty. And Elvis gave it to him, because sometimes the greatest kindness is not pretending. Elvis visits Michael 6 more times. June 21st, June 28th, July 5th, July 12th, July 19th, July 26th. Each visit, they talk. Michael tells Elvis about his dreams. He wanted to be a pilot, fly planes, see the world from above. Elvis tells Michael about his dreams, the ones he had as a boy, before fame, before everything. They become friends, real friends, not celebrity and fan, not star and admirer, just two people, talking honestly. On July 26th, Elvis's last visit, Michael is weaker. He can barely sit up. His skin is translucent, veins visible beneath. But he smiles when Elvis enters. You came, Michael whispers. Elvis sits, takes Michael's hand, always. They don't talk much that day. Michael is too tired. But he holds Elvis's hand, and Elvis sits with him for 3 hours. Just sits. At 6 p.m., Michael falls asleep. Elvis kisses his forehead, whispers, You're the bravest kid I've ever met. He leaves, drives back to Graceland, doesn't speak to anyone, goes to his room, sits in the dark. August 3rd, 1971, 3:17 a.m. The phone rings at Graceland. Elvis answers. It's Patricia Peterson. Her voice is calm, too calm. Mr. Presley, Michael passed away tonight, 9:42 p.m., peacefully, in his sleep. Elvis closes his eyes. I'm sorry, he says. Patricia's voice doesn't waver. He wasn't scared. At the end, he told me he wasn't scared, because you told him the truth, and he could prepare. He could say goodbye. Really say goodbye. She pauses. Thank you for being honest with him, when no one else could. Elvis can't speak. Patricia continues. The funeral is August 7th, St. Peter's Catholic Church, downtown Memphis, 10 a.m. If you want to come, you'd be welcome. Elvis nods, even though she can't see him. I'll be there. August 7th, 1971, St. Peter's Catholic Church, Memphis, Tennessee. The church is small, maybe 50 people, family, friends, nurses from St. Jude, and Elvis. He sits in the back row, wears sunglasses, dark suit. Tries to go unnoticed. The service is simple. A priest speaks. Patricia speaks. Michael's aunt speaks. They talk about his bravery, his kindness, his love of life. Then Patricia mentions something. She tells the congregation about Elvis's visits, about the truth he gave her son. She doesn't cry. She thanks him, publicly, for giving Michael peace. Elvis stares at his hands. After the service, the burial, Calvary Cemetery, East Memphis, Plot 47, Section C, Michael Anthony Peterson. March 3rd, 1964, August 2nd, 1971, beloved son. The headstone is small, white marble. Elvis stands at the graveside, long after everyone leaves. He stares at the fresh dirt, the flowers. He thinks about Michael's question, Am I going to die? And his own answer, Yeah, buddy, you're going to die, the hardest truth Elvis ever told, and the most necessary. In 1973, 2 years later, Elvis makes a large donation, $500,000, to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. No press release, no publicity, no announcement. Just a check, delivered quietly, with one request. That part of it go toward end-of-life care training for staff, teaching them how to talk to children, about death, about truth, about honesty. The hospital agrees. They create a program, the Michael Peterson Truth Initiative, training doctors, training nurses, teaching them that sometimes children need honesty more than hope. The program still exists today. In 2025, 54 years later, St. Jude uses Michael's story. In their training materials, they tell new staff about the 7-year-old boy who asked for truth and about Elvis Presley, who gave it to him. Patricia Peterson is still alive. She's 86 years old, lives in Nashville. In interviews, she talks about her son. She says the same thing every time. Michael died peacefully because someone finally stopped lying to him. Someone respected him enough to tell the truth. That someone was Elvis, the teddy bear, the one Elvis gave Michael. The one Michael named Elvis. Patricia kept it. For 54 years. It sits on a shelf in her living room, brown, worn, one eye missing, but still there, still holding the memory of a simple request from a boy who knew he was dying and just wanted someone to be honest. Michael's hospital room, room 304, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, still exists. They've renovated it, modern equipment, new paint, but on the wall, near the window, a small plaque, in memory of Michael Peterson, who taught us that truth is the greatest gift. Nobody knows who put it there. Some say it was Patricia, some say hospital staff, some say Elvis himself, before he died. The plaque is brass, 6 inches wide, simple inscription, but it's there, permanent. Visitors to St. Jude sometimes see it, ask about it. Staff tell the story, about Michael, about his question, about Elvis's answer. Some don't believe it, think it's made up. But the nurses who were there, the ones still alive, Sarah Mitchell included, they confirm it. It happened, exactly as told. Elvis visited a dying boy. The boy asked if he was going to die. Elvis said yes, simple as that. And it changed everything. Quick thought. What would you ask if you knew time was running out? Drop a comment. There's something devastating about that moment. That question. Am I going to die? Most adults would lie, would soften it, would say, we're all praying, or doctors are trying. But Elvis didn't. Because Michael didn't need comfort. He needed respect. He needed to be treated, not as a dying child, but as a person, worthy of truth. And Elvis understood that. Maybe because he'd lost his mother. Maybe because he knew grief. Maybe because he saw himself, in Michael's eyes, the loneliness of facing death. Whatever the reason. Elvis looked a 7-year-old boy in the eye and told him, "You're going to die." The most brutal honesty and the most compassionate, because with that truth came permission. Permission to stop pretending. Permission to say goodbye. Permission to be scared. Permission to be honest. Michael spent his last month not fighting a hopeless battle, but living what was left. He made peace with his mother. He wrote letters to his dog. He chose his favorite songs for his funeral, all because someone told him the truth. That's not cruelty. That's love, the most difficult kind. Elvis carried that moment for the rest of his life. Friends say he talked about Michael in private, when he was alone, when the world got too heavy. He'd remember the boy who asked for truth and the weight of giving it, some burdens you carry forever, not because they destroy you, but because they change you. Michael Peterson changed Elvis Presley in a hospital room on a June afternoon with one simple request: tell me the truth. And Elvis did, even though it broke his heart, even though he had to look away, even though saying those words felt like dying himself. He said them because truth, even devastating truth, is sometimes the only gift worth giving. On August 16, 1977, 6 years after Michael's death, Elvis Presley dies, Graceland, Memphis, Tennessee, 3:30 p.m., in his bathroom, alone. The world mourns. Millions of fans, celebrities, politicians. Everyone talks about his music, his movies, his legacy. But at his funeral, buried in the crowd, Patricia Peterson stands. She's 38 years old. In her hand, a worn brown teddy bear. She doesn't speak to reporters, doesn't ask for recognition. She just stands and remembers the man who gave her son the truth when no one else could. Today, at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, room 304 still treats patients, children with cancer, with leukemia, with diseases that steal their futures, and the staff, trained through the Michael Peterson Truth Initiative. They sit with these children, and when asked, "Am I going to die?" they don't lie. They don't promise miracles. They tell the truth, gently, honestly, respectfully, because a 7-year-old boy and a legendary singer taught them that truth, even painful truth, is the greatest act of love. Michael Anthony Peterson died 54 years ago, but his question lives on, in every child who asks it, in every person brave enough to answer honestly, and in the memory of the day Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, had to look away, not from weakness, but from the unbearable weight of telling a child the truth. Some conversations change the world. This one changed two people, a dying boy and the man who honored him by refusing to lie. That's not a story about fame. That's a story about humanity, about the courage to speak truth in the face of death, and about the grace to receive it with dignity. Michael asked for one thing, truth. Elvis gave it, even when it hurt, especially when it hurt. That's why it mattered. That's why it still matters, 54 years later. The teddy bear sits on Patricia's shelf. The plaque hangs in room 304. The training program continues. And somewhere, in a file at St. Jude, is a photo. Elvis and Michael sitting together. June 14, 1971. Michael holds the teddy bear, Elvis's arm around his shoulders, both smiling, real smiles. Not for cameras, just for each other. Two people, connected by truth, in a world that prefers lies. That photograph, that moment, that simple, devastating request changed everything, and unfortunately, they don't make men like Elvis Presley anymore.